what was it you used to implement for your clients way back in the day when they first started with you, or like assessments that you would do then, and maybe we could like think about some of the things that we would do or you would do specifically now compared to then, because we're talking like fucking 15 years ago, right? Like
Yeah,
going
yeah.
back to gyms.
Assessments. What were they?
Yeah, I think scales, eh?
Yeah, no, actual.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Didn't
Well,
really understand that
yeah.
sort of side of things, to be honest.
So back in the day, yeah, I can't remember doing any assessments. Maybe like a uh, waist measurement and scales, maybe, but like I can't even remember if that was the case. But you can't remember doing anything either.
No, I remember doing measurements.
Yeah,
Measurements were always because I remember we used to do a lot of measurements, like just measurements in a way. We didn't know how to take body fat back then. We didn't really have good body fat scales back then either, did we? I think down the track we sort of started getting some good talented scales or whatever they are.
yeah, yeah.
But no, a lot of it was that. I think a lot of the other stuff was like fitness testing.
Oh, true,
Uh,
true. Yeah, probably,
uh,
probably was it.
probably out the gate fitness
Yeah,
testing
that's
too.
what I was laughing about too. I I remember actually one of the first things I used to do was a fitness test was with the what are they called, like the power bags at the
Yeah,
bottom of the stairs in that Les Mills. You put the bags and you'd have to race to the top and come back down, race to the top, like taking the bags up, and that would be like our fitness test. At the,
yeah. I think did you make them like flip it a lot as well?
yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, 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 yeah. That was the fitness test. One of the first fitness tests I did actually, and I remember like one day I might have had 5 clients go through it, and three vomited. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a good trainer.
Yeah, you're the man, eh? Well, I remember that. Remember in that old bank they said that 14 flights of stairs.
Yeah, yeah. That's the one I mean. Like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
those.
So I remember I used to get people to take dumbbells and like go up 14 flights of stairs and come back down crying.
Oh, classic. Yeah, that was. I guess that was the assessments essentially, or death ones on the rower, and that as well. I think I used to do
Yeah,
like
I think we used
with
to do those.
ruggers.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah. Just a 1K row, 50 press ups, 50s, like before CrossFit sort of stuff too, eh? And then back on the rower, and then he's just dead for like 3 days.
yeah.
Get no results, but hey, it's good.
No.
It's putting in the effort. What about, yeah, what about now? Because obviously that shit's not the smartest, but for trainers and stuff that are newer, because you've got certifications out of your eyeballs, but someone who's sort of like in the industry 1 to 3 years and probably in that mindset that we were in, that is at least you chuck them on the row for a 1K row. What sort of assessments would you recommend that they need to start doing or should look at doing, I guess?
Yeah, a lot of movement based assessments now because like most people, like yeah, okay, a lot of people's stuff now that you're coming across is to actually move better and feel better. So, and it's even simple things like um, a lot of people can't bend down, touch their toes, or when they squat, they can only squat to parallel, and they're really bound up and they're really hinging forward in their hips, or their calves are super tight, so they don't really have that mobility aspect. And like, it's the nature of people's jobs now. There are a lot of office bound, a lot of people working from home, a lot of people like driving around the country. So I think the nature of people's occupation has made them really, um, tight and bound, and even some of the old style of training before. I was actually reading a post today about some rugby players trying to undo years of these professional rugby players trying to undo years of work because they still can't squat below parallel, and it's just because what they've been ingrained is like more weight, go harder, but they're just working towards. They haven't really had that chance to really delve into like working on their mobility or open up their body, unlocking their body, I should say. But more so, yeah, a lot of things are movement based. Whether that's like something like a functional movement screen, which is as simple as doing an overhead squat with a dowel, like a lunge pattern, just even a push up pattern, just to see where people are breaking down. But to be fair, I don't really do that unless I'm into like someone that needs some, has some like really red flag injury, or I guess in a performance setting. What I'll do, I've created a workout that will go over all those different movement patterns I want to see, and I take these people through a workout. So they're getting 2 hits at the same time. So they've come to see you, they want to feel good. So you get the workout done, but then you've also, on my end, I can analyze as they're training, and I can make certain tweaks on my way through, or make comments like, oh, do you feel quite tight through your hip flexors doing this movement? And it's an easy yes no response, but I can see it. But it's good to just, and their brain is trying to link it up for them as well. Like, well, this is why it's tight, and this is why you can't do X, Y, Z in your movement. So that's basically the way I do it now with like a lot of general population. Even some athletes, I'll bring them in, I'll take them for a workout, and that's what I do, because again, they just want to get moving, and I can coach them through why certain things are firing, or why certain aspects of their movement's not going properly. So for them, they can link it up a lot easier.
Yeah. Let's break that down a little bit. There was a bit there. So the first thing is when you talk about being able to squat to parallel and being like not having the mobility to be able to do that, are you talking more of the like? Are you talking more so they can squat better, or just literally just can't get into that sort of body position as a human being, sort of thing, like movement wise?
Yeah, as a human being with no weight on them.
Yeah.
So that this body weight, and they can't get into that position.
Yeah.
And then it's just one of the things. It's all like, as they progress and get older, or even playing, they might be weekend warriors playing sport. Like, that's a potential injury waiting to happen because they don't have that free movement in their body. So, and then there's the other thing as well. If you sit in front of a computer the whole time, like your traps, your neck, your shoulders take a beating just because you're always in this position. But that does relay back that you can't do other positions normally. Same with like, I've got someone that loves cycling, and because on a bike so much, their hip flexors are shortened, and they sit for an office job. So I have to spend a lot of work to open them up a lot more, so they can feel better.
Yeah. I suppose, and then you drive home, sit on the couch, watch TV.
Yeah. So it's just nature of what we do.
Yeah.
We have to work on unlocking that a little bit more.
Yeah. With the assessment, like, I liked how you did that through assessing the movement patterns through a workout. Like, the old school thing, and trainers will still do this, but like 2 free PTs, right?
Yeah.
Wasting that time doing an assessment when you can actually give them a decent workout at the same time is obviously double whammy if you can do the assessment at that same time. Like, if you've got the ability to be able to see their movement patterns, assess what's going on, and know what to do from there, bang on. Would it just be those 3 movement patterns that you're kind of incorporating?
It's usually like your big movements. So you want to see a hinge pattern, a lunge pattern, a squat pattern. You want to see some pushing and some pulling. So you want to look at everything, and you can do that. And then obviously the offside, they're going to have a really good workout. You can fit it into half an hour if you need to, fit it longer if you want it to. But you'll get a lot out of that. And then it even starts from the warm up. Like, I get them to do specific movements in the warm up, so I can see if their hamstrings are tight, what their hip flexors are like. Are they locked up through their mid back? So I can already see. So when I put them into something, I sort of got a head start of what I expect to see flag up straight away. So it just all links into it. But at the end of it, they might come in. Oh, I want to lose, let's say, 5 kilos. So you can actually make it a fat loss workout. Or I want to get stronger. Cool. You can move it towards, well, this is a strength-based workout. Or I want to build some muscle. Well, this is a workout that will build muscle. So it ticks all those boxes, but it's an assessment tool as well.
Yeah. I think the way, there were 2 ways that I used to do it was similar to that as well. Like, I do it through a workout, because like, it's pretty easy now to assess somebody's movement patterns just by, you could just get them to deadlift almost, right? Like, you do just get really quite good at it because you're doing a lot of it. And the other way that I used to do it was just get them to do a few movement patterns. You mentioned this, but so they can see their movement patterns, and that was more just to have that conversation with them. It's like, can you see how that's happening? Can you see how your knees sinking in when you do that? And they're like, oh yeah. How do I stop that? Like, it was just for more cues of having that communication, more than just my assessment. Because, like I say, you can just do a workout and you've got the information from there, right?
Exactly. And like you said, because of the 2 free PTs. Like sometimes people don't give you a lot of information, even though you're pretty good at it. You can pull a lot out, but it's just another way just to layer a lot more stuff in. So when you get to the end of it, and let's say they're on the fence about training with you, like now you've got a lot of evidence ammo to go. Well, this is why you need to do this because of X, Y, Z. So yeah, this gives you a lot more, and I think that's where a lot of people fall flat as well in those free sessions. They don't really know how to gather a lot of information to be able to present back to the potential client of why they should be doing whatever you need them to do.
There's a shit foundation, right? So, like, if you don't have any of that information or you can't figure out that information, then anything you do on top of that is just kind of sweet sessions, or do you know what I mean? They're just like made up sessions. There's no like, okay, this is
yeah.
so this is
you're actually just giving away a free session because they're not gonna sign up with you.
yeah, because they can do it themselves. I think even an online point of view, like by having a workout like that where they can film that and send that back to you, you can still learn a lot from a movement pattern, right? Like just getting them doing something boring, as in like do 10 overhead squats from 3 different angles and send it across to me. You can just be like, here's a workout and just let me have a look.
No, exactly. I remember I got a guy to do some program for me like years ago, and that's what he did. He made me do a squat pattern. I had to do like a single leg hop on 3 legs. Oh, sorry, on 3 each side. And then I can't remember what the other one was, but I had to do something else.
Yeah.
And then I sent that away from him. He goes, okay, cool. I seen this, this, and this. We need to work this and this. So we'll start your program like this.
Yeah.
Simple assessment tool, but he got all the information he needed. So he's on the other side of the world. So he got what he needed. And I didn't have to spend a lot of time videoing a lot of different movements.
Yeah, and that's nailed it on the head right there, right? Like, you just get them to do exactly what you need as the coach or the trainer to get the information you need to be able to help them, right? Like, and that's what he did. Here, it's not going to take up a shitload of your time, so you don't do it. It just took you a few minutes, and he's got everything he needs to prescribe where to go from here. What about from a nutritional point of view and stuff? Is there like, I'm trying to think back to way back in the day. You're drinking raw eggs, weren't you?
I think I was watching you drink raw eggs.
I just cottage cheese and yogurt, I think.
Yeah, that was popular there.
I'm trying to remember some stuff from back in the staff room. Say,
I remember we used to get those like quick oats sachets, just whack them into the shaker. I don't think we put protein in it, but it was like a polar yogurt and something.
Yeah.
Oh no, maybe there was protein powder in there as well. But we used to just drink it. I don't think we used to like mix it to a oats or a porridge consistency. It was just like real water, and we just drink it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know where I was getting nutrition information from at that point. No idea. Actually, I can't even remember where I would have got it from. But from now, is there anything specifically you do with just like, for again, same thing, for you to gather information, or do you just get them to start doing something, or how would you normally do it now?
Yeah, good question, because that keeps changing for me. Yeah. And it's probably because there's more options, I guess, these days, of the way people like to eat.
Yeah.
So I was at a coaching conference about a month ago with a new performance nutritionist, and like I brought up the vegan diet because like I'm now getting people that are vegan. And I was like, well, what do you do from your standpoint of being able to give these people what they need, like mineral wise and all that? So her answer was, I need to supplement.
Start eating meat, eh?
Yeah, no, exactly, because it's not happening now. So yeah, she's like, well, I need to supplement them because they're not getting the minerals that you get from animal protein. So okay, cool, well, that's all right. But yeah, it's a lot harder now. I think the main thing that I still stick by is to have adequate amount of protein in your eating, just because of what we need for protein, but also the thermic effect of like protein. So we burn more calories by trying to digest protein. But that's obviously a lot trickier with vegetarians and vegans because they don't have the animal protein to do that. So, but majority of the time, my people that are like that, I will still gravitate towards that. And then I'll factor everything else, the other 2 macros around what I set from, protein. But a lot of these times these days, I'm probably referring out to nutritionists now.
Yeah. I reckon you almost have to like figure it out, get reasonably good at it, then you start referring that out. Like I know when I like first started, it probably made sense to refer out because you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But it's almost like you almost need to learn it to a point, then you can refer it out. Because it was the same with physios, right? Like the more I knew about movement patterns and stuff like that, the faster I started referring out. But if I didn't know that, it still would have made me a much worse trainer. And I think the same goes with nutrition, eh? Like you've still got to know quite a lot, and then you don't use most of it because you do refer it on.
Yeah, because I found I've probably gone right through the loop of it. So I've gone, I don't know a lot, but I'm trying to take care of it.
Yeah.
And then I remember I went to a nutritionist. I got her to write me a complete plan. I went through it, understood a little bit more. And then it got to the point you educate yourself a lot more. Didn't agree with some of the stuff she gave me. Pulled away from it because I found something else that would work. And then it's gone back a whole loop. I've got myself, I know a really good knowledge base about nutrition now. I understand a lot of different facets of it and what's happening with particular people that now I refer out because if I'm honest, I don't really want to deal with that now. And I like having the other accountability point from someone else. I find that a lot more powerful than me trying to take care of everything.
Yeah, and it's like, especially I guess you're working with like high-level athletes to some degree too here, where we go, you do what you do best, and then get somebody to do what they do best. But referring out is sometimes hard too, because like a nutritionist referring to a PT, there are PTs that aren't very good, and a PT referring to a nutritionist, there are some that is, I'll just say new, right? Like, so they're still learning the ropes and don't have the experience either. So it almost takes years in the industry before you can refer out and be comfortable to some degree as well, I think.
No, and that's a good point actually. And it's obviously creating your network and finding those good people, which is hard. But when you do, I mean, it's good for both people. It's good for them. It's good for you. Good for your people. But yeah, you do really need to know a lot before you can really, I guess, I wouldn't say trust is the word, but you know, you want to like give that person just to take the reins and just take over a lot more.
Yeah. And do you feel there's a difference between what you would do with a athlete versus just general pop? Not the way that they eat, but the way that you would start with the nutrition.
Yeah, so like especially with athletic populations, because their demands are a lot higher with their training and competing and what they need, they actually need a lot more food than what they think. So it's actually like you're definitely under eating, and you're not you know, some of them don't eat post training. They don't understand fueling before training, and that's what it is. It's fueling. It's not like a diet; it's fueling. So they're usually heavily under eating, and like carbohydrates is the number one energy source. And like, you know, there's arguments there is like, oh yeah, but if you're on a fat adaptive diet, you know, you can do really well. But still shows after an hour you still need some carbohydrate top up. So it's more around giving them more food is usually the issue. Is like they don't eat enough. And giving them more food is the hardest part.
Yeah, because especially if you're trying to do that clean, like there's not much calories in a lot of like healthy foods often. And when we're talking about, I was talking to Steve Orton the other day. So he's doing about 6,000 calories a day at the moment. Right? Like just consuming that from a digestive point of view is like a lot of work.
Yeah. And that's when you do need those quick sources like stuff that people don't like, but it's sugar. It's like, because that works.
Yeah. Because otherwise, you're just not getting the calories in, so you've got another problem, mate. And again, athletes here, so it's like it's a different from general pop. But yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. Is like people don't really understand how to factor in things like juices or carbohydrate drinks, or even if it's Cocoa Pops. Like that stuff all has a place. Doesn't make you unhealthy. It's for a purpose. It's fueling for performance.
Did you pick
you're still eating healthy. So it's
you pick like Cocoa Pops because it's your choice?
It's my choice. Love a little chocolate milkshake.
Had a bit of love in your voice when you said it, that was all.
Yeah. Some over there, I can show you.
Oh, close. What about supplementation? Do you usually get people on? I mean, when I talk about supplementation, I am talking about like, like the creatines and so on, but also like magnesium, okay, that sort of broad. Do you get people on or assess that straight away, or?
Yeah, it's definitely a question straight away. I personally obviously want them to eat good food first and then focus on everything else. But I mean, there's some really good staples just to bump up some people's in, which is a good protein powder. Creatine's awesome, well researched. So a lot of people don't really understand creatine. I think they just think it just makes you big, but
Yeah.
it's actually creates more energy, so you can actually train more. But then there's like other things, like I do like magnesium. We deplete magnesium super fast. It's involved in over 350 chemical reactions, stress, training, everything. It just depletes magnesium, so it's always good to top it up. But then it's just other things as well. Like I like fish oil, just fish for the inflammation aspect of it. But yeah, nothing too major. Where I used to be like the guy that goes supplement shop and drop a couple $100.
Yeah.
I haven't been to a supplement shop for years. Like, and my supplement shop's probably a health food store or something like that, where I will go get some magnesium or something now.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I have protein powder and creatine, but I don't really go a lot outside of that anymore.
You do 60 caps of fish oil or what?
No. I've got the higher dose, so you need like.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so I don't really go down that road, and I have to be careful now because some of my guys get tested, so I can't really be going around promoting taking this, and this.
Yeah.
Because they can get flagged and they're seen banned from sport for 2 to 4 years.
Yeah, and it does. It's quite murky in the supplement realm of what's in some of them these days. Eh? Like I know New Zealand here, where we are, is not so bad, but definitely in the States, like the supplements pretty.
Things can get ingrained and hidden under proprietary blends and under different names. So, I mean, I've actually had a player that got he got a 6-month ban, which was actually quite low because when it went through court, like it found out he had no idea, and the company had put it under a different name and whatever. He still got banned, but he only got 6 months. And it was actually just a pre-workout he took, and it had a banned substance in it, and he didn't know.
It's still a long time in someone's career if they've got like a 7-year
career
or 5-year career. Some of them even like it's.
Well, you've also got that mark by your name, right?
Yeah.
So you are a flag straight away.
Yeah, you might as well have been on something good.
Yeah. So, so that's the sort of area where I sort of come from that now as well. Like, and you see these people perform without having to take mega stacks. It's just because potentially their food's just not in place, or don't get me wrong, it does help. It does help, like shortcut some things.
Yeah.
I think psychologically it helps you as well, but
yeah. So to just think about that for a second, like for a trainer, they're starting out with their clients is like, we'll just call them, where we would have used to blanket them as shit trainers, but let's just say they're like learning trainers. If they were to start with their clients and they look at like a movement pattern through a workout, they started off with making sure that their people are just getting adequate amounts of protein to start with. Yeah, and if they're looking at any form of supplements, we're looking at just things like magnesium and maybe fish oil to sort of as a start for this. Would you move them to creatine straight away?
Nah, probably not. Because like with creatine, you do hold a lot of water, so if they're worried about the scales, that's going to get in trouble straight away.
Yeah.
Nah, it's probably definitely like assessing the movement patterns, cleaning up their food if they need a little bit of cleanup, and that's just giving them. This is one thing that I got taught and I still stick by. If you take something away, you got to give something back.
Yeah.
So if I take away your Cocoa Pops, I have to put something in as a return, and that might be like, but I really have a bit of a sweet tooth. Oh, okay, cool. Well, what do you usually like? So I like to have a biscuit with my tea, and I'm like, well, there you go, keep having that. Yeah. Taking Cocoa Pops away, but you can have your 1 or 2 biscuits. That's fine, but that'll keep adherence and keep them pushing forward. So that's our thing. So I can't be like, that's one thing I used to do. I used to make it real restrictive, and I'll stick to it and I'll get some results, but it's not long term.
Yeah, for sure. Hard. I think that's you learn that pretty quickly. That just taking away doesn't last that long. If you just keep
if you're going to have a lifestyle out of it, you can't do it like that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're competing for a show, that's different because you've got to be quite dialed in. But if you're not, you can still achieve those 6-pack abs without having to be super restrictive like that.
Yeah.